What are Warren Buffett's investments as we go into 2024? That's exactly what we're going to look into. We're going to be digging into the latest 13F filings of Berkshire Hathaway to understand what Warren Buffett did in the last quarter in terms of buying and selling stocks. By looking at this information, we can better understand what positions Buffett has going into 2024, and this can give us some insights into what Buffett thinks will be the best investments moving forward. So we'll start this video by looking at the investments that Warren Buffett got rid of. That's positions that he completely eliminated from the Berkshire Hathaway portfolio. Then we'll look at positions where he reduced the size of his holdings. So he still holds that stock, but he sold some shares. Then we'll look at the positions he added. And finally, we'll go over some of the stocks that basically stayed the same. And to wrap up, we'll analyze what this means and put it into context of the broader financial outlook and try and make some assumptions about what is going through Warren Buffett's mind right now. So first off, let's go ahead and have a look at the whole Berkshire Hathaway portfolio just to get an idea of what we're looking at here. Now, as we can see, the largest part of the portfolio is made up of Apple stock. Now, this has been criticized by a lot of people who basically say that Berkshire is just like a Apple proxy, but nonetheless, of course, Warren Buffett has done very well with this investment. The next largest position right now is Bank of America Corporation. This is then followed by American Express, Coca-Cola, and then we have some energy exposure through Chevron and Occidental Petroleum. Now, as we can see, this portfolio is quite concentrated. The top 10 holdings account for over 90%, with only about 7% attributed to other small investments that the company has made. Now, with that said, let's begin this video by looking at the stakes Warren Buffett completely disposed of in the last quarter of 2022. Now, this information can all be gleaned by looking at the 13F filings. These are filings that are required by the SEC, so every fund at the end of the quarter has to report its latest move in the portfolio. Now, this information will tell us what Warren Buffett did during the last quarter of 2023 and how he entered the portfolio in 2024. Of course, it's already been a month or two inside 2024, so it's not exactly absolutely up-to-date information, but nonetheless, this is exactly what Warren Buffett was holding at the end of 2023, and again, gives us a great outlook as to what he's thinking going into 2024. So, first up in the stake disposals, we have StoneCo Limited. This is a Brazilian fintech company which helps with payment processing for e-commerce and also brick-and-mortar stores. Now, this was a small position started back in 2008, representing about 0.4% of the portfolio. It was open at $21 per share. In 2021, Buffett sold 25% of this position at about $60 and $94. And this quarter, he has disposed of the rest of the stock at about $9.60 at $18.50. The stock currently trades at about $17.50. So quite interesting, of course, this stock peaked back in 2021 with a lot of other stocks. Buffett did manage to secure some profit there, but he did sell at a loss in the last quarter, basically closing out his complete position. And the stock has actually recovered significantly since then. Now, another stock that Buffett has completely eliminated from the Berkshire Hathaway portfolio is DR Autumn. This is a very large home builder in the United States. This represents about 0.20% of the portfolio and was established during Q2 of 2023 at prices between $96 and $123. This quarter, the stock was completely eliminated at prices between $101 and $153, and the stock currently trades at around $156. So again, quite interesting to see here that this stock didn't last very long in the portfolio, and basically Buffett sold out close to the prices at which he bought this stock. Next up on the list is Markel Corporation. This stock belongs in the finance sector. It basically underwrites different insurance products in the United States, and this stock represented about 0.07% of their portfolio, and this position was established during the second half of 2022. Prices around $1,100, $1,500. The last quarter, we saw 2/3 reduction at prices between $1,300 and $1,500, and then in the fourth quarter of 2023, Buffett sold out the rest of this position at around $1,300 and about $1,500. Current price is now around $1,500. So again, a stock that didn't last too long in the portfolio, and basically Warren Buffett sold at around the prices that he bought. We don't know exactly when he bought or sold. We don't have that range. And lastly, we have Global Life, a healthcare provider. This was a 0.03% stake, and it was reduced by 67% in the previous quarter and completely sold out this quarter. So again, notice that a lot of these stocks that Warren Buffett completely sold out of this quarter, he was already selling in the previous quarter. Now, moving on to stake decreases. It's interesting to see that Warren Buffett actually trimmed out some of his Apple position. Now, he actually sold a very small part, about 1% of his position, but it's still interesting to see. Now, Apple is, of course, the largest holding in Berkshire's portfolio, over 50%. It was built between 2016 and 2018 at a cost base of around $35 per share. So, of course, a very good investment for Warren Buffett, and he trimmed out the position at around 1% in the last quarter. Now, another position where Warren Buffett reduced his exposure is Paramount Global. Paramount represents about 0.20% of the portfolio. It was purchased in Q1 of 2022 at prices of around $38. There was a 14% stake increase the next quarter at prices about $25 and $38. And there was yet another increase in Q3 at prices between $19 and $27, so kind of averaging down. The stock currently trades at about $13, and this quarter we saw the position sold down by 32% at prices of $10.7 and $16.85. So very interesting actually seeing Berkshire kind of take a loss, and basically it seems like they've lost conviction in this trade, or at least they want to reduce their exposure. Now, we'll go over some of the reasons why they might be selling in a minute. First, let's go with the last stock that Warren Buffett has sold, which is HP. This represented about 0.20% of the portfolio, established in Q1 of 2022 at around $34-40, and the stock currently trades at about $28. This quarter, we saw the stake reduced by 75%, three-fourths of their position at about $26 and $31. Again, taking a little bit of a loss on that, but still holding on to a smaller position. Now, there's a lot of reasons why Warren Buffett might want to sell stock. It doesn't necessarily mean that, of course, he's lost all conviction. Now, a lot of people would be critical here, saying, well, why is he selling these stocks at a loss? If he's a long-term investor, he should wait for them to recover. And that does make sense, of course, unless A, his thesis has changed, or perhaps he's also doing some tax loss harvesting. In other words, he's kind of locking in those losses in order to avoid paying taxes on some of the capital gains. So either of these are possible. Obviously, Apple was just getting too big. They were just trimming a little bit. Paramount has had some interesting things going on with it. So it's definitely interesting to see them reduce the position this much. And the same goes for HP. But again, this could just be tax loss harvesting. Now let's go ahead and look at some of the stocks where Warren Buffett actually added to his position. And there's basically three stocks in this category. We have Chevron Corporation, ticker CVX, and Occidental Petroleum. So as we can see, a big bet on energy names. Now CVX is one of the largest holdings. It accounts for about 5.41% of the portfolio, and it was first purchased in Q3 of 2020 at prices of between $72 and $91. Then we had some selling in Q1 of 2021, where he sold about 50% at prices of between $85 and $112, so a bit of a gain. In Q3, Buffett sold out another 25% at prices between $94 and $106, so slowly locking in some gains. And that was followed with another one-third increase the next quarter at prices between $102 and $119. Now, what was surprising was in Q1 of 2024, we saw a whopping 315% stake increase at prices between $119 and $171. So we can see that Warren Buffett's conviction in energy really kind of began to pick up in that first quarter of 2022. Now, this quarter, there was a 14% stake increase at prices between $142 and $169, with the stock currently trading at about $150. So obviously, energy did very well during that 2021-2022 period. Now, in 2023, it kind of went down, traded a little bit sideways. And what we've basically seen Buffett do is kind of always take advantage of those lower prices in energy and maybe try and take some profits when the prices get a little bit higher. So it obviously seems like Buffett has a kind of long-term conviction in energy and is basically always willing to buy when the prices go low enough. Now, the other big play that Berkshire has on energy is, of course, Occidental Petroleum. Berkshire made a $10 billion investment in Occidental Petroleum in April 2019 through 100,000 preferred shares with a liquidation value of $100,000 per share. Those shares actually pay 8% dividend, and the transaction came with warrants to purchase a further 83.86 million shares at $59.62. Q1 2022, Berkshire purchased 136.4 million shares, priced between $31 and $59. This was followed with a 22 million share net increase in Q2 of 2022 at price between $57 and $60. And the next quarter also saw a 23% stake increase of prices between $57 and $75. The stock currently trades at $57, and this quarter we also saw a 9% stake increase. Now, including warrants, Berkshire Hathaway actually now owns about 34% of Occidental Petroleum. So again, there's been a lot of speculation that Warren Buffett is basically building out this position in Occidental and is trying to get a majority stake in the company. Lastly, the fund also added SiriusXM to their portfolio. Now, this actually came about as a result of a redistribution transaction by Liberty Media Group. So Buffett has an investment in Liberty Media, and they gave out this stock as part of a redistribution. And lastly, the rest of the positions have pretty much been held steady. We have Bank of America, American Express, Kraft Heinz, Moody's, DaVita, Liberty Media Corporation, Citigroup, VeriSign, Kroger Company, Capital One, Amazon. Again, these are all very small positions. Charter Communications, Snowflake, Aon, Ali Financial, New Holdings, one that I like a lot personally, T-Mobile, From Decor Holdings, Louisiana Pacific, and some other stocks. Again, now these represent a very small part of the portfolio, and Warren Buffett didn't really touch them much. Now, even though we did see some movement in the portfolio in the last quarter, there wasn't a lot happening in terms of sales. All the positions that were sold out were pretty small, although it is interesting to see how Warren Buffett may have lost conviction in some of the stocks that he's completely eliminated from his portfolio. I'm especially curious about why he decided to sell D.R. Horton, the home builder. This might tell us that he has some concerns about the real estate market. However, on the more bullish side, Warren Buffett is clearly quite bullish on energy names. He's increasing his position in Chevron and Occidental Petroleum. Of course, over the last couple of quarters, these stocks have traded down and a little bit sideways. Oil hasn't really gone anywhere. And obviously, Warren Buffett sees a lot of value here moving forward. Now, this could be quite relevant. Last week, we got a pretty high inflation print. So is higher oil prices something that could be in store for 2024? Warren Buffett might think so. Overall, though, notice how Warren Buffett continues to believe he continues to be very invested in American companies, of course, classic American names. However, at the same time, it's important to note that Berkshire Hathaway currently holds a record amount of cash with a lot of bonds in their portfolio, and as we can see here, also a lot of cash. So obviously, Warren Buffett is getting ready to deploy money if we did see something like a recession in the coming year or two. Lastly, if we look at the portfolio distribution over the last few years, we can see how technology has strongly increased. Of course, this is due to the increase in the exposure to Apple. On the other hand, we've seen an increase in the recent years in energy names, while industrials have actually come down significantly since 2019. And then, of course, financial services has come down in recent years, but has began to increase during this year. And it's likely that Warren Buffett is going to build up more of a position in financials as the Fed begins to cut. That at least would be my assumption. So with that said, guys, that is our review of Warren Buffett's portfolio going to 2024. Of course, we'll be paying attention to the upcoming shareholder letter he will write for the 2024 year 2023. And as always, keeping track of what these big investors are doing can be very helpful, but also it's important not to read necessarily too much into it. Again, we have to understand that a lot of this information does come with a lag. And when it comes to funds, there's a lot of different reasons why they might be saying something. So again, this is just my opinion on a filing. Of course, this isn't what Buffett is saying about the economy right now. So as always, guys, hope you really enjoyed this video. If you like it, go ahead and share, like, and subscribe. And you know that I'm on Substack as well, doing in-depth stock research, macro analysis, technical analysis. So go check it out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.